Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 850B, and today's date is December 23rd, 2015, and the title of the episode is U.S. and the Coalition Forces are now making final preparations to invade Libya. Now, before I get started with the report, I just have a couple announcements. Tomorrow, December 24th, there will be a news brief. Friday, December 25th, there will be no report. Tomorrow, December 24th, I'll be uploading an interview with Bill Holter onto the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. If you subscribe with X22 Report Spotlight, you should get an email from YouTube. If you've signed up to the X22Report.com email alerts, I will email you when this video goes live, or you can just come over to the X22Report.com site, scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side, you'll see the video right there. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, there was a new Gallup poll survey done to find out what Americans think about government. And what Gallup has found is that nearly 70% of Americans think big government is the country's top problem. The poll results were released just after President Obama signed the $1.1 trillion spending bill. And the people are saying, yeah, we have a problem with the government. It's too big. People are threatened by the government. And the government should not have the power that they have. And we always need to remember is that the government is supposed to work for the people. They're supposed to carry out the wishes of the people, not of corporations, not of central banks, not of foreign governments, but it's supposed to carry out the will of the people. And we can see at this point, this government that we have right now does not do this whatsoever. Now, Judicial Watch is suing for documents withheld from Congress on climate data. And the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, does not want to hand over this data. They don't want to hand over the methodology for collecting and interpreting data used in climate models. The lawsuit from Judicial Watch wants the documents, and basically they've served NOAA, and the agency finally turned over the targeted documents to Congress. The methodology and utilization of night marine air temperatures to adjust ship and buoy temperature data, the use of global temperature datasets for both NOAA in-house dataset improvements and monthly press releases, conveying information to the public about global temperatures, the utilization and consideration of satellite bulk atmospheric temperatures reading for use in global temperature datasets. These are all the things that NOAA uses to tell us that humans are making the planet warmer. Well, we know that climate continually changes. The sun does this. And Judicial Watch is investigating right now on all of this information, on the raw data, and how they come up with this information. So they're looking at how NOAA collects and disseminates climate data that is used to determine global climate change. Because what they've been seeing is a lot of this information has been manipulated to make it look like the Earth is warming. But when we look at the raw data, it shows the Earth is actually cooling. Now, the Obama administration basically was stonewalling. They didn't want to hand over these documents, and they were using the Freedom of Information Act, and the Obama administration was just ignoring these requests until the lawsuit was brought and a subpoena was brought to the Obama administration, and this is when the documentation had to be handed over. Because they cannot ignore a subpoena and a lawsuit. And you can see there is no transparency. They are pushing a lie to the American people. They lie about weapons of mass destruction. They lie about what we're doing in the Middle East. They lie about all the false flag events to make us do things we would never, ever do. Basically, they're fearmongers. You have to be afraid you're ruining the planet. You have to be afraid if you have a weapon, everyone needs to turn them in or there'll be more mass shootings. You have to be afraid of the Islamic State. All of this has been created by the government to trick and scare you into doing things you normally wouldn't do. And this is why we're doing all of this, to report on it and to show that, yeah, they're lying. The Islamic State is really a proxy army. The mass shootings are really false flags. Global warming is not happening. It is a lie. They're manipulating the data. The economy is completely manipulated. The government continually lies to the people. Just like they told us we had to go into Iraq for weapons of mass destruction, and they never found weapons of mass destruction, and we know this is completely fake. But without doing that, and lying to the people, and scaring the people wouldn't have said, all right, let's go ahead and do this. The same thing is happening right now. The only problem is the economy is collapsing. This time, the false flag is going to be much, much worse. This time, they're going to have to scare the people right down to their toes and make them do something they would never in a million years think of doing, and that is going to world war. Now, out in Ukraine, the people in Ukraine absolutely loathe the new government. There was a Gallup poll done in Ukraine. Nearly 9 in 10 Ukrainians, 88%, say corruption is widespread in their government, and about 8 in 10, 81%, see the same widespread problem in their country's businesses. 8% of Ukrainians now say they have confidence, which is not very good, and 17% approve of what Poroshenko is doing. Do you know, before the United States came in and had the coup d'etat, the elected president, Viktor Yanukovych, his approval rating was 23%. It was higher than Poroshenko's right now. So we can see right now the people are not happy with what Poroshenko's doing. And this was a puppet government that the United States put into place. And it destroyed the entire country. Their currency is worthless. They have no manufacturing. They lost Crimea. They lost the Southeast. They're in a civil war. And their gold was stolen by the United States. And everyone is suffering in the country. So how is this any better than they were before? It isn't. And now, since his ratings are so low, he's going to go to war. Everything's been prepared. They're getting ready for a major offensive. Because otherwise, what was the whole purpose of spending $5 billion to get Ukraine? They don't have the ports, they don't have Crimea, and they don't have the manufacturing in the Southeast. So what is the whole point? And they know they need to provoke Russia. They need to try to get these places back. And if they can't do it, they'll just start a war. They don't care. Russia is currently working on the creation of a similar system with Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. And they're creating an air defense system, which was signed by Russia and Kazakhstan. So all these regions are going to be creating this regional air defense system. Right now, Kazakhstan is going to be receiving the S-300 air defense system, and these other countries eventually will receive this. Now, why is this happening? Because they see what the United States and NATO is doing. They are moving military assets. They've created the missile shield. They have tanks in caves. Troops are being maneuvered into all different areas in the Baltic region. They have the Russian reaction force in NATO ready to go. And Russia realizes what's happening here. And they're getting prepared to defend themselves. And we know eventually what's going to happen is there's going to be a spark, and this spark is going to kick off World War III. Now, in the past couple of weeks, we have been seeing everything being prepared for the invasion of Libya. We've seen France doing reconnaissance missions. We see the United States, Italy, France all preparing to go into Libya. We see that they've signed the unified government peace deal, which is really not unifying the government whatsoever. They just want to hold up a piece of paper and say, listen, we have a unified government. We've seen the National Oil Company sign deals under this new unified government. They moved the central bank over to the eastern area. They moved where the oil deliveries are going to be, right near where the central bank is in the eastern part of Libya. Everything has been moved out of Tripoli, where the elected government is. And the elected government is calling in Russia to help with the terrorists, with the proxy army. We see the Islamic State has been airlifted into Libya from Syria. They set up a new base in Sirte. They're moving inland to capture the oil fields, so the United States government central bankers can deliver the oil using the dollar, because they don't want the elected government to sell the oil not using the dollar. And we are already getting word that the French government is preparing for intervention in Libya in the first half of 2016. And we know the unified government comes into power in January of 2016. And this is coming from an unnamed French defense official who leaked the information. And they're saying the official reason of the intervention is to fight the Islamic State. Now, who's part of all of this? Well, it's the United Kingdom, the U.S., Algeria, Italy, Egypt, North Africa. And we know that this is all being orchestrated by the United States. And we can see they're getting ready to invade. Now, right now, Libya is going to be at the core of the U.S.-UK strategy to destabilize the entire region, because they're losing their tactical plans in Syria. Russia stepped in. Their plans are out the window right now, so they're reorganizing, regrouping, and getting ready. And it seems at this point they're trying to destabilize the entire region. And this is part of their plan, to go into Libya, start bombing. And we know that Russia is going to be invited in by the government in Tripoli, which is the recognized real government. And all of this is going to accelerate after January of 2016. Right now, the United States is discussing with Italy to bring in even more troops into Iraq. So they have Germany, they have Italy, they're talking to France, they have Saudi Arabia and the coalition forces trying to muster up as many ground troops as possible. Because it looks like the United States at this point is saying, listen, we have to go all out. We need to start World War III. We need ground troops in Syria and Iraq. We need the bombing in Libya. We need to destabilize the entire region. And we need to get Russia on one side, the coalition forces on the other, and we need some type of accident to occur to push this war forward. And we have more proof right now that the Islamic State, they're working for Turkey, which takes its orders from the U.S. government. An Iraqi militia commander found a mobile phone on a dead Islamic State soldier, or mercenary, I should say, and they said the phone contains messages from Turkish intelligence. And now they've taken the phone and they're looking into it to see what else they can find out. But everything they've looked at so far shows that, yes, they have been in touch with Turkish intelligence. And Turkey has been in touch with U.S. intelligence. The United States basically uses proxy forces, proxy countries to do its bidding. Amnesty International, the report on civilian deaths by Russia is based on fakes and absolutely no proof whatsoever. Russia looked into the report, and basically they are saying that there's no evidence whatsoever about anything. All it says is presumably Russia might have hit civilians. They might have broken international law. But in the document itself, there's absolutely no proof whatsoever. And I have to agree. They never show proof. They always use words as might, possible, could be. But they never show the proof whatsoever. And we're not talking about the pictures afterwards. You need the proof that links the country when they do something. It's like a murder trial. Yes, you can hold up pictures of the murder victim, but that doesn't link anything to the person on trial. It just shows what happened afterwards. You need everything in between linking the two, because you can show pictures about any type of dead body or any type of disaster and blame it on that person. But without everything in the middle, it's meaningless. It's the same thing they do with Assad. They show the aftermath of people in the hospital coughing, people with chemical burns and things like that, but there's no link to show that Assad did this. And there are links to show that the Free Syrian Army did it, like the sarin gas that was found in the cave, the trajectory from the missile that was shot to that village. Those are links. The pictures are not the link. That's the aftermath. But since this war has started in Syria, I mean, the entire area, especially in Damascus, is a complete mess. I mean, this city used to have about 300,000 residents in this area. It was densely populated. There was trade going on. It looked clean, and today it's just a bunch of rubble. And if you look at Libya, you look at Lebanon, you look at Yemen, you look at Iraq, you look at Ukraine, it all looks the same. After the United States has gone into these countries, all these countries are a complete and utter mess. Now, Russian forces, they have delivered over 1,000 airstrikes in the last 5 days on 5 Syrian provinces. They've been hitting the Islamic State, destroying their training centers, their training camps, hitting their munitions. And we can see right now that the Syrian troops are moving into these areas, continually pushing the Islamic State out. Remember, they're continually losing territory. As time goes on, they'll be completely pushed out. We see that the United States is continually arming Al-Qaeda. They have not stopped. We see that ammunition, food, other supplies are going to the Free Syrian Army. They're also going to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State. So nothing has changed there whatsoever. Russia right now has announced that they're going to cooperate with ground forces in Syria. So it looks like Russia at this point is going to be bringing in ground troops into Syria to make the final push to push the Islamic State out. So that means more military assets, more troops are going to be on the ground working side by side with Syrian forces to push the proxy army of the United States out. Now, on the other side, the United States is trying to put together their own ground troops because they know they need the numbers. They need countries to help out in this. This is why they're asking Italy. This is why they're asking Germany. This is why Saudi Arabia is trying to bring together the coalition forces to bring in a ground force. We are seeing the formation of World War III right now. Now, the United States is still using the propaganda that Assad is using chemical weapons. They produced this video which shows the aftermath of people being hit by a chemical weapon in Damascus. Now, the question is, Syria is beating the Islamic State. They're there with Russia. Why would they gas their own people? Because Assad knows he needs their vote. What would be the purpose? What would be the motivation? There is none. What would be the motivation of the Free Syrian Army, the Islamic State, Al-Qaeda to use chemical weapons on the people of Syria? Well, they're losing the battle. They don't care about the Syrian people. And they're trying to pin it on Assad. They have motivation. And the United States continually pushes this motivation. And right now, they're trying to use the same propaganda they always use. Now, there's a lot of information out there about false flag events coming up this Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. New York City was out there saying that they have credible reports. Then they retracted it. And then they said, okay, we really have no reports whatsoever of any terror threat. But we see this is happening all around the world. It's in Germany. It's in France. It's in the UK. And we see the fear-mongering is continuing. Now, why are they doing all of this? Well, they're trying to get everyone on the same page. They want everyone to know that more events are going to occur. And they want to make sure you know where they're coming from the Islamic State. And the reason for this is they are really preparing a false flag event. Everything has been set up. They're just waiting for the thumbs up. Everything's been in place for a very long time. And we're coming to that point where they're going to get the green light and the thumbs up. And we're going to see this occur all throughout the country and probably in Europe all at the same time. Because they need to get everyone on the same page to go to war. This is the only way they know how to do it, is to lie and to scare everyone. And this is exactly what they're doing. Because this system is collapsing. They know it. They need something to cover it up. And this is what they're going to use. And we can see this is what they're pushing right now to get everyone on the same page. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.